Welcome to Techcess.
The statistic of cancer affecting 1 in 2 people, that's scary. You know, if you're sat on the table of 10 people on that lifetime, you look around that table and 5 of those people are going to get cancer in their lifetime.
That's Les Johnson, and he's joining me today to talk about Business Beats Cancer Dundee, who are our charity partners for Q3 this year. And if you've been following the podcast, you'll know that we here at M3, we choose a charity once per quarter. So we support 4 charities per year, where we donate all of our customer feedback, satisfaction to the charity, and we convert all of that feedback into pounds, and we donate it at the end of the quarter. So Les is going to tell us all about the great work that they are doing over there and how you can get involved, and about a fantastic up-and-coming event that I'm sure you don't want to miss. I'm Mark Riddell from M3 Networks. We are an IT support and cybersecurity specialist because we know that running a business is hard enough as it is, right, without IT causing more headaches and frustration, which is why we aim to make IT an enjoyable experience for our customers. If you'd like to find out more about what we do, check us out at m3networks.co.uk. There is a little bit of a connection actually in history with you and M3, because you actually designed the M3 Networks logo way back. You know, it must have been, we're coming up for our 13th birthday next month, so many moons ago.
But it's still going strong, which is good, which is a sign of a good logo, Mark.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it always gets mentioned even now about how strong it looks with the colours and stuff. So yeah, it stood well the test of time. But we're not here to talk about us and M3 today. So we're actually here to talk about Business Beats Cancer. And so maybe you can tell us a bit about, obviously, the charity, what's been set up, what it does, and who it's helping and things.
Mm-hmm. Well, Business Beats Cancer, the Dundee chapter, the idea has been knocking around for some time. I think it's a case of getting the right people on board, because I think that having the right people on board determines the success of any chapter of something like this. I mean, the reason I got involved is because this means a lot to me, this charity. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer 4 years ago, and the first time she didn't want to tell anybody, which was her right. She kept it very quiet. She went through 12 months of radiotherapy, chemotherapy, she had a mastectomy, and 12 months later she got the all clear. So we thought, brilliant. New start. We moved to Dundee, found a lovely house. We've got fantastic neighbours. Majority of our friends are in Dundee. Ruth came on board, Creative Orange, left her job, came on board. So it was the start of a really good, new, exciting chapter. And then, of course, what happens in 2020? COVID comes along, and I would say about 2 or 3 months into COVID, Ruth then gets the devastating news that the cancer's not only returned, but it's stage 4 and it's untreatable. She went through 18 months of absolute hell. Every different chemo going. There were times when we were left without an oncologist. We even looked as far afield as going to Manchester every week to make sure she got the treatment she needed, treatment she deserved. And some things worked, some things didn't. And then she started going downhill and downhill. And I lost her in November, which was incredibly cruel. So I know firsthand what this disease can do to people. It's a very cruel disease, and when you watch the person you love the most just disappearing before you, it's horrible. So when I lost Ruth, obviously it was devastating, but I thought it was important to carry on the good work that she started. And so that's when I got involved with Business Beats Cancer Dundee. Basically because I thought I had a skill set that I could offer, but also I wanted to carry on the good work that Ruth started and carry on the work in her memory. So yeah, that's how I became involved. And there's lots of people out there who've went through very similar things. But I think having a personal insight into just how cruel this disease is, it spurs you on all the more to try and do your best to make sure that one day we can eradicate this and just give people the best chance they can and to get on with their lives. Because like I say, 1 in 2 is an absolutely devastating figure. So it's a disease that will unfortunately affect everybody in some way in the future, whether it be yourself or your wife or your husband or your daughter or your son. or just a close family member. It's important that we beat this thing because it's a cruel and devastating disease, not just for the person that you lose, but also for the people that get left behind as well. Long story short, Ruth was actively involved at the start, and her background was hospitality and setting up events like this. So Ruth was a very active member, and I think she kind of drove a lot of this stuff forward. Obviously, because of COVID and lockdown and what have you, that put a lot of the plans for it, especially for the launch event, which is coming up. So we did push it back because we just thought at the end of the day, if people might still be not scared, but a bit uncertain about what happens with regards to COVID, etc. It's a thing that was set up a couple of years ago, but because of certain events over the last couple of years, plans had to be postponed. And Ruth's involvement was her background was hospitality and arranging events like this. And I think the initial idea was to have this at the start of the year, February, March time. But obviously because of COVID, people were still kind of a bit unsure about where they stood with regards to attending events and things like this. So we pushed it back to September to make sure we had as big attendance as possible. And plus, I think at the end of the day, we just wanted to make sure everybody had a good night. I think after the last 2 years, everybody deserves a bloody good night. The idea of the launch event, which is happening on the 1st of September at the Apex, is it's not your normal sit-down dinner. We wanted to make it more fun. So, I mean, the theme is it's a music-themed night, but there's no black tie. It's kind of like, dress for a night on the tiles. So there'll be lots of entertainment there, band, DJ. There's going to be a music quiz. There's going to be lots of prizes. There's raffles. There's some fantastic prizes. Like I say, you've got football hospitality packages. You've got golf experience at Glen Eagles. You've got framed prints by famous artists. You've got one that I haven't bid on myself, actually. It's a caricature drawn by the guy who does Willie and the Bruins, and that gets inserted into the comic strip. So there's very unique stuff there that's money can't buy prizes. The idea about it was because the statistic is cancer affects 1 in 2 people. But I don't think there's anybody who I don't know who doesn't know somebody who's been affected by cancer. So cancer affects everybody. And I think the feeling was that we needed to kind of do more in Dundee to raise awareness and also funds to help fund vital treatment and preventative care of this horrible disease, basically. So there's, like I said, there's about 8 of us on the board who've come together, and the idea was to bring the business community together to help raise as much money as we can, just to raise as much money as we can to give over to Cancer Research UK.
What's your role in the charity day-to-day?
I think we'll help out as and where we can, because we're all in
many hats, right?
Yeah, we're all in this for the same end goal. But I mean, obviously, primarily I'm a graphic designer, so all the marketing materials that have been required for the run-up to the event, and also things from the night, I've been handling all of that side as well. Been speaking to a great photographer that we've got on board, trying to sell tables. I've managed to sell a table or two to a couple of clients of mine, also trying to get some auction prizes on board. I think everybody's got their own area of expertise, but everyone's also happy to chip in as and where we can.
Sure. I guess the reason I asked that is because obviously, it is a charity, but it's effectively like a business, and you need lots of things in a business, don't you? Lots of different skill sets. So is there anything missing that, if there's any businesses out there maybe listening, that could help with, like, of course, you're providing the graphic design support element of all the market materials. Is there anything that the charity's missing that, even if it's for the event that's coming up?
I think, to be honest with you, Mark, we've all kind of reached out to all of our contacts, and we've managed to pull in pretty much everything that we need for the launch of this event. Moving forward, I would imagine there'll be an ongoing requirement for certain skill sets. But I think for this event, like I say, we've done pretty well so far. We've sold the majority of tables, and we haven't really started to promote the event. So that just goes to tell you people are invested in, coming together for the greater good sort of thing. There are still a few tables left. So, if people want to have a good night, then, there's a few tables left which they can get in touch with either myself or Alison at the Chamber of Commerce. There's a website. If you just Google Business Beats Cancer Dundee, that'll take you to the website, tells you a bit more about it and some contact details. And the only other thing I think we could probably do is, we're looking to raise as much money on the night as possible. So if anybody out there is willing to donate any more prizes for either the live auction or the online auction, that would be fantastic. Like I say, we've got some incredible prizes already, hospitality at Dundee United, Glen Eagles Golf. So that's the sort of thing we've got at the moment, but every penny helps. So if anybody's out there who's willing to donate a prize or get involved on the night itself, then get in touch. We'd love to have you on board, and it'll be a good night at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to I need to get myself booked into the event as well, which is how I found out about it, actually, because I've seen Alison Henderson waving the big Business Beats Cancer banner thing on her LinkedIn profile.
The big Rep Road cassette.
Yeah, that was quite cool, actually. Because it was one of these things. It was like, what's that? And then you click into it, and I think it was one of those little boomerang videos, kind of shuffling back and forward with the thing, which kind of got the attention. So, it's great that you've kind of got so much interest, even without, as you said, really promoting the event. Just to kind of let's go back. You mentioned the event. So the event is when and where, and how can people book?
The event is on Thursday, the 1st of September. It is at the Apex. It starts at 7 o'clock, and I think it goes on till the small hours. So you'll need to book the Friday off. It's just going to be a good, fun night. I think we've all been to some of these gala dinners, and they've been very good and well organised and professional. I think we just want to have a bit more fun with ours, particularly after the last 2 years, what everyone's gone through. I think everyone just deserves a good, fun night, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a good, fun night, and hopefully we can raise a lot of money for Cancer Research UK. Like I say, if you're interested in either donating a prize or booking a table, the tables take 10, and there's fantastic food. There's lots of local drinks. There's going to be live entertainment, music quiz. So it's just going to be an all-round fun night. But if people are interested, I think the best thing to do is either contact myself or contact Alison Henderson at the Dundee Chamber of Commerce, or if you just Google Business Beats Cancer Dundee, that'll take you to the website, and also there's a LinkedIn page as well. So there's numerous ways you can get in contact.
Yeah. I like how you said it's not black tie, it's just kind of come out dressed as if you're going for a night out, because then, well, I was also thinking it's quite a smart thing to do, because I think after the last couple of years, not a lot of people might still fit into their tuxedos. So there is that as well. So yeah, it sounds like it'll be a great night. And the Apex has always been a fantastic venue for any events that I've ever attended there.
And it had to be somewhere fairly central for people to get to. So, like I say, there's a few other chapters that have done really well recently. There was an Edinburgh one about a month or two ago. It's not just Dundee doing this, it's lots of different chapters are doing it as well. And like I say, it's something that I think affects absolutely every single person. And like I say, the statistic of cancer affecting 1 in 2 people, that's scary. If you're sat on the table of 10 people on that night and you look around that table and 5 of those people are going to get cancer in their lifetime. It's not just about raising money for cancer, it's about raising money for yourself and your loved ones as well. I think that's probably a good way to look at it, because at some point in our lives, somebody that we know very closely will get it. And yeah, I think this is just a good opportunity to give them as good a fight chance as possible. So yeah, come along. It'll be a good night, and hopefully we'll raise a lot of money.
One question I have, and it's maybe one thing that maybe people might think about as well, is, and you mentioned the different kind of chapters in different areas of the country, is the money raised kind of kept locally and spent within those areas, or what happens to the funds that are raised? Yeah,
the idea of the different chapters is you raise money for the actual area that you're in. So okay. the money that we raise, well, not just on the night of the 1st of September, there will be events coming after that as well, but the money all stays locally. So it doesn't, the money gets ring fenced and it stays where it was raised. So I think that's vitally important as well.
Yeah, especially, people like to, especially if it's in the local area, like you say, it's going to help local people, and those local people might be, people that your neighbours, whoever, as you said, could be affected by this. So
I think especially at the moment, because there's a few issues with regards to cancer services in the Dundee area. People are having to travel to Edinburgh and Glasgow to get radiotherapy, etc. So wow. I think the Dundee area is desperate need of kind of pulling the socks up when it comes to cancer services, to be honest with you. So I think as much money as we can raise is going to give local people as great a chance as beating this thing as possible without having to travel to other areas, So the money stays low, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. And of course, obviously, as our charity partner for Q3 now already, 2022 M3, of course, Les, I don't know how familiar you are with what's been going on, but obviously I know Alison is, and what we do here at M3 with our customer satisfaction, where we basically, we encourage customers to leave customer reviews. We typically get between, 2,000, 2,500 a year. And what we do is each quarter we nominate a specific charity, and we convert all of our reviews into pounds. So it's usually typically, it varies of course, but between £400 and £600 per quarter, depending on how many reviews we receive through our help desk. Mm-hmm. And then we convert that into pounds and donate that to the charity. So obviously I know Alison well as well, and that's where the conversation came up about partnering with Dundee Beats Cancer for this quarter. And it ties in really well because you've got your event this quarter as well. So there'll be some money coming from our direction towards this as well. And I hope to get along and be able to enjoy the night as well on the 1st of September.
No, that's brilliant. I mean, thank you very much from the rest of the board for that. Because like I say, every penny counts, So, that's brilliant.
Yep.
Thanks very much.
Well, thanks, Les, for taking some time to come and tell us about this. And of course, we'll make sure we post all the links to the socials and stuff for the charity and how people can get involved. And make sure we tag yourself and Alison Henderson at the Chamber. So if people want to get in touch with you guys directly about either booking tickets, tables, or donating auction prizes for the night, I'm sure there's loads of businesses in this area that could donate fantastic prizes, I'm sure. So we'll make sure we shout about this as much as possible over the next few weeks.
And like I say, we want it to be a sellout event. So we've done really well on selling what we've done so far, but if we can get rid of the last few tables, that'll be brilliant, because it'll just add to the atmosphere as well. It'll just make for a really fun night. So if we can get rid of the last few tables and get as many auction prizes donated, that'd be fantastic.
Techcess is an M3 Networks podcast. Find out more at m3networks.co.uk.